life. This is Peter.
And I can tell you it's not raining because we're not in Scotland. We're in the beautiful Eifel region here in Germany.
Yes, we have.
Yep, we do.
Yes, we do. We have the Atmos coming in. It's all fine for us. This evening, we will have, for the evening session, we will have 3 commentators for the first part, but I'll make sure I'm here at the start of it and just make sure that we let you or Mike know that all 3 headsets will be used at the first part of the evening session. Copy that, thank you. Right, we'll shut up now. Well, hello everybody, and welcome along to the 51st running of the ADAC Total Energies 24 Hours of the Nürburgring. And what I would almost say are Simpsons-like skies, the Nürburgring, as they are floating by quite pleasantly at the moment, with plenty of blue sky visible to us from our commentary position in the Global Broadcast Centre, right opposite the start-finish line on the main Grand Prix straight. Opposite the TV Rhineland Tower, it's John Hindhaugh and Peter Mackay for you. The green light has just gone on at the end of the pit lane for what is qualifying one in a qualifying session that's qualifying procedure that would in some ways defeat many nuclear physicists in working it out. I was never good at differential calculus when I was at school, but I think we can probably give you what's going to be going on later on today. As ever, there'll not be much happening at the start. The good news is that all of these early sessions are live via the usual places, so the YouTube channels. And of course, we've got the player at radiolemans.com. If you scroll to the bottom of the page, actually, you will be able to see a timetable which auto-corrects to your area of the world, and also tells you which are in vision, which is all of them, to be honest. Toyota GR Supra number 76 has already gone around on the outlap. That's a bit of an embarrassment, isn't it? We're a tiny little bit late because of some oil put down on the track. As I said, all of these early sessions live and free for you with no blocks or breaks. And for the weekend and the race on Saturday into Sunday, for most of you, nothing will change. So whether you're watching us on radiolemans.com or on the YouTube, that will probably not change. If you're in the USA or Canada, you need to go to Speed Sport 1. They have the race coverage. It's all free, and you'll get our commentary on that as well. That'll kick off for the weekend. We'll be tweeting that all the way through, and if you want to get in touch with us, it's at RSL_studio. Our hashtag here is hashtag RSLN24, as you might imagine. In the early running, we'll try and bring you up to date with some of the news. We've been patrolling the paddock. If you didn't hear Midweek Motorsport last night, Peter and myself were spent a very happy hour at the start of the programme in the pit lane, talking to a few of the faces, and then we stayed in the pit lane while Tim and the rest of the team took over for the second hour and talked to more people. Some very interesting comments going on. I think what came through most from my point of view is just everybody is looking forward to it so much, and it's great to see so many of the old favourite back, including the Volta Stride Check Opel Manta, risen like a phoenix from the flames. Never mind the foxtail, it's the phoenix tail this year. And we've got a new mascot here at the Nürburgring, which is also a foxy. But as you can see, flap, 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 it's out there. Terrible fire just before the race last year. And we've had a good look round that car, and there's even less of the original car left now. Peter Mackay is with me in the Global Broadcast Centre for his first visit on site for this event, and has been struggling to take it all in, Peter.
It's quite difficult to describe, and I know that's my job as a radio commentator. Quite an incredible place here at the Nürburgring, and it's such a pleasure to be here on site in such beautiful weather to see one of the greatest motor racing events in the world take place. And it's going to be all go from the very start of this session. This is qualifying one. So this session will be, these times do count for the grid for those who aren't in top qualifying 1 and 2. That will happen tomorrow. We'll worry about that tomorrow. But for the rest of the grid, a huge number of cars here as well. They're out there as well. Also, every driver in each car must complete 2 fast laps or 2 timed laps in qualifying to be able to start the race as well. Unfortunately, Hendrick's still there in the Teichmann Racing Toyota GR Supra. Didn't get his practice off to a very good start, but that's okay. It's behind him now. He comes in here as a defending champion in Cup X in the KTMs, which Teichmann Racing used to run, but this year no KTMs. Teichmann Racing have switched to the very popular Toyota GR Supra.
Yeah, there are a lot of those GR Supras here. We pop round to Teichmann because it's literally just at the bottom of the hill from where we are staying. We're actually within the bounds of the circuit. Now, normally, if you were at a regular race circuit, you'd say, oh, that's quite cool, you're sitting inside the circuit. But of course, there's about 6 villages inside the track here. However, Teichmann Racing are just at the bottom of the hill from where we're staying, and on our way to do the supermarket shopping. The first night we were here on Tuesday, we went round there to have a look and find out why no KTMs. I think it seems that they've just got so much on. The long and the short of it is, there's probably a much longer story to this, Peter, but they've got so much on in so many different championships and with so many different either single make or other GT operations. They just felt that something had to be put to one side for a little while, and as such, it's the KTMs that have been not ditched, but certainly pushed onto the back burner for a wee while.
Yeah, I mean, they're quite a unique race car, the KTM Crossbow, and I think maybe Teichmann deciding that the GR Supra is a more attractive package for them, and you know, they're running several cars in the race, so perhaps they've it's certainly been a successful start to their career with those machines, and we'll see how they get on, those Teichmann Racing cars. Unfortunately, the number 112 Mini, the Bulldog Racing Mini, has come to a stop on the Grand Prix Strecke just before the Vidal chicane. Not exactly sure who's at the wheel at the moment, but it looks more like a technical failure of some description.
Sorry, what was the number of that car?
The 112 Bulldog Racing.
Okay.
That's Danny Brink, Marcus Fischer, Uwe Krumscheid and Marco Zabel, who are your driver lineup. We've got 2 Bulldog Racing Mini Cooper machines, including the other car, the other Bulldog Racing car. It's got Charlie Cooper, grandson of John Cooper, driving as well. So many great fans here at the Nürburgring. Amazing attendance all week, and some of the outfits that we've seen around the circuit as well. Fantastic work, folks. Love the spirit, and everyone's been really anticipating this first session.
Can't tell you who's in the Mini because, of course, what they've done is they've just come.
They've not hit the timing beam yet.
They've not gone through the timing beam. We're in these early sessions, remember, we have the odd sight of a set of cones down the front straight to the start-finish line, which is right in front of us. I'm pretty much opposite the very last cone, and Peter just to my right, the penultimate cone. So when you see the front straight shots, you'll sort of get an idea of where we're looking from. If we stand forward and lean forward in the booth, we can just about see them coming off the end of the Dottinger Höhe. Now, those cones are there for a very specific reason. To get into the pits in these sessions, you cannot come straight off the Nordschleife into the pit lane. You have to go across the line, round the Grand Prix circuit, and then instead of turning left at the end of the Grand Prix circuit and heading out onto the Nordschleife, you actually come round the old Coca-Cola curve and into the pit lane at that point, or head towards that and come in from there. So you're using the Grand Prix entry rather than what we'll see in the race. And that also means, of course, that you can go around the Grand Prix circuit just to give your car a shakedown and then run back and come and start the Grand Prix circuit again just to make sure everything's all right. And there's quite a lot of people who have done that early on. Already a code 60 at Breitscheid. That's post 118 for this 1 hour and 45 minute section. And also earlier in the lap at the Advan curves, that's post 40, already those code 60s coming out. And again, if you're joining, listen, I understand there's an awful lot of you who are expecting to be watching 20 cars and 20 drivers going around a very fast circuit this weekend. However, we've got 135 cars and somewhere over 500 drivers here, so you might be watching this for the first time. One is a code 60. A code 60 is a slow zone. So basically it's yellow flags. You will not see a safety car here this weekend. even if there are cars on the track, they are not safety cars, they're intervention vehicles. We have slow zones, code 120s, code 60s, and basically neutralizes certain parts of the track. Those codes, either at 120k or 60k, are absolute. The cars are monitored by GPS, and all of the cars and drivers have been told in the driver meeting. There were 3 driver meetings, by the way, 1 in German and 2 in English to get everybody through. They are told, make no mistake, these code zone speed areas are absolute, and if you transgress, the penalties will be heavy, to the point where they can take away your ring permit. And the ring permit is king here, because even if you, for example, find yourself as a super license holder with nothing to do this weekend and fancied popping up here to do a little bit of a run round in this race because you'd managed to get someone to bang you in the car, it wouldn't matter if you have a FIA super license. If you've not got your ring permit, you can't come to drive here. And there's no guarantee that having a super license, or indeed any other form of license, will get you in, get you one. You have to do the training here and do the classroom sessions. So if you have your ring permit revoked, then you have to go through all of that again, and they may even say that you can't do that for a certain amount of time. It sounds draconian, but this is not your average racetrack. And indeed, on that note, Peter, particularly people following from the US, or perhaps who follow us on the 24H series from Creventic, CP Racing are not here this weekend, having been on the original entry list, and that is down to, I'm afraid, a bad mistake by one of their drivers.
Yeah, one of their drivers, unfortunately, in the qualifying races, second qualifying race, was caught doing 124 kilometres an hour in a 60 kilometre an hour zone, and yeah, that's an immediate loss of permit. The organisers of this race really do not make any exceptions. They are very firm, and that is because we are racing on one of the most unique and fierce circuits anywhere in the world. We are incredibly lucky to have this incredible facility to drive on and to race on, and therefore there's an element of respect, there's an element of order that needs to be in place to do that successfully and as safely as possible. And all the drivers know that, the teams know that, and respect that as well. The Greisman Group by TR team, the Teichmann Racing 227, the Greisman, von der Laden and Adorf heading on to the Nordschleife for the first run. But we've got our first times coming in the top class. Trust Kevin Estra. He says, I'm going first, and straight in the car, first out of pit lane, first over the timing beam, and first on the timesheets at the moment, 8:25.
And by the way, we will not see all the cars in this session, will we? Because cars that are already into
yes, we
Quali
will.
2 won't go out in this session?
Yes, they will. Right. So the way that it works is we have 3 qualifying sessions, which are for everyone. So we have today we have the qualifying session we're in at the moment of 105 minutes. Then we have 210 minutes tonight. Then tomorrow we have a 75-minute session in the early afternoon. Now, those are to set the grid of everyone who isn't in top qualifying. Now, top qualifying, we have 2 sessions. You have top qualifying 1 and top qualifying 2. Now, some lucky drivers and some lucky teams are already into top qualifying 2, which is the qualifying shootout.
And how have they got into that,
They have
Peter?
done so by their performances and lap times in the Nürburgring Langstrecken Series, the championship that runs through the year here at the Nürburgring, and in the Nürburgring 24-hour qualifying races a few weeks ago. So there is a small handful of cars that are already in there, But from top qualifying 1, there are 5 more seats at the table. And we worked it out over lunchtime that there are 13 cars that will be bitterly disappointed if they don't get one of those spaces. Those aren't good odds. Less than 50% chance.
It took us a long time to work that out. It was at least 2 portions of schnitzel.
Oh, yes, I did need the second schnitzel to work that one out. So at the moment, this is absolutely... These first 3 sessions of the weekend serve the following purposes. 1, to get all of your drivers qualified for the race by doing their mandatory 2 laps.
Yeah.
And if you're not in the top qualifying, you will set your grid position. Hope that makes sense. We will talk about it throughout the week.
At RSL_studio. Good to have your company wherever you are watching or listening around the world. Hello to Tom Marshall in Ohio. All set at work, but tuned in. Nicely done. He's got the video up as well. Don't forget you can get live timing as well. www.24h-rennen and I think it's .com at the back. Actually, .de is what I've got open. The times don't need to be translated. So you can get the timing on there as well, the same as we've got here in the Global Broadcast Centre. Hello to Mick Ford. The Nordschleife and endurance racing. This mare's sitting up late in Australia, all worth it. And I'm so looking forward to the whole weekend. Thank you, Mick. Good to know that you're watching in the Antipodes. Beautiful weather here. Really chilly overnight, actually. And the forecast for the next couple of days is pretty much as it is right now, with sunny spells, long sunny spells for most of Friday, Saturday and Sunday. Top temperature getting up over 21, 22 degrees Celsius, but overnight well down into single figures. Now that doesn't really matter on Friday night into Saturday unless you are camping, but of course Saturday night into Sunday it is going to be very chilly indeed. Sarah Rigby's taking the day off today, watching and listening live. All is right with the world when you see the number 121 Manta Foxtail going around. That's at Manta_Foxtail, by the way, if you want to follow the social media account of that car. Great to see that car back in this weekend. Hello to Demi Foster, who is watching and listening. Not sure where you are, Demi. That would be in Shellac in France. Hello to me. Nice to know that you're tuned in. And wherever else you are in the world, if you're listening at the moment on RS1, part of the Radio Show Limited network of channels, as we've got intervention vehicles and one of the Unimogs out there, that means somebody's gone into the barriers. That is a barrier repair vehicle and set of vehicles. So being covered from behind with an Audi A6 Avant, there's I think about 4 or 5 of those. We had a good look around them yesterday, intervention cars and medical cars, and there's very nice. I mean, they're doing nothing, Peter. It's a crime. Why they can't let us take one of the R8 each for the evening? I mean,
each? We're quite happily go and do a recce and just check everything's all right. Yeah, just make sure that the brake pads are bedded in. I would be more than happy to do that to give them a rest as well. Interesting, looking at the speed trap times that we have here in the commentary box here in the Global Broadcast Centre. At the Sector 4 speed trap, which is Schwedenkreuz, which is a very fast left-hander. How fast? 268 kilometres an hour for your fastest driver, which it actually now is not Kevin Estre, is Colm Ledegar who's gone to the top of the timesheets, 8:23.1. But yeah, 268 kilometres an hour through Schwedenkreuz.
That's 100 and...
Lots.
40 odd? 150
at least, yeah.
And some?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you've got to get on the anchors hard for that right-hander, downhill right-hander at Arenberg as well. Wonderful. Kevin Estre coming up Tiergarten now, so it'll be his second flying lap here. Qualifying lap record an 8:09.1. So, the drivers at the moment just getting themselves bedded in, getting those laps in. And they've only got 29 tyre sets for the entire event. And if you're going to be doing both top qualifying sessions tomorrow, that's 2 sets gone. And usually they want to put a set on every hour. So you don't want to blast through them in practice and qualifying if you don't have to. Estra over the line, and yeah, it's starting to wind it up now. 8:18.1, so it just chipped 7 seconds off that lap. As the Manthey Grelo driver, winner 2 years ago.
That car, one of the most popular down at the Adenauer race day yesterday. The main street closed off. There's racing cars there. Friends, family and fans encouraged to get as close as possible. Saw a lovely set of pictures from Jochen from Frozen Speed of a young driver, a young fan passing over a hand-done drawing to one of the Manthey drivers, and immediately it was taken, selfies were taken, signed hero card, and into the car that drawing went. That's a fan for life. And even after, when we were all finished last night, so quite late on, there was still 1 or 2 cars down there. The Ferrari was still down there from Friccadelli, and still with people taking photographs. This is a community event here, as I said. There are a number of towns and villages within the environs of the circuit itself. 1 or 2 close moments I'm sure we'll see in this opening session. We're not going to get too excited about them as it stands at the moment. Save our voices for the long haul. At RSL_studio. Thank you to all of you. Chris Tipper watching from New Zealand with a broken ankle, resting up. Looking forward to the race, and it's even later than our Aussie cousins. Rob Chalmers is working from home. Oh yes, Rob, are you? Totally not a direction. Yes. Neil from Belgium, from Avaberda in Belgium, resting up from a fabulous trip to Le Mans last week for the MotoGP. I'm envious. I was working last weekend, otherwise I would have been down there. 278,000 across the weekend and 115,000 on race day. The Cloud, who's the promoter there, €98 for your ticket, a programme, a camping spot and a radio, and your parking, by the way. And along with Assen and Sachsenring, those are proper motorcycle GPs for proper motorcycle fans. I'm pleased you enjoyed that. Hello to Jake Parrott, who's tuned in. Recommends the GP Sova IP app. It has the GPS marching ants graphic. Only on Apple, I'm afraid, for that one. That is the problem with that one. But I've retweeted via RSL_studio that if you want to get that on your favourite fruit-based device. And Theo, ready to watch the full weekend package, recording a podcast for the QT session with some friends. Always good to hear the familiar RSL voices on a casual Thursday. Yeah, thank you.
Can't beat a casual Thursday.
We do. It is casual Thursday.
Yeah.
It's jeans and shirt. We almost went for the shorts this morning.
Actually, I've got my cufflinks on,
yes,
John.
you
Yeah,
have.
I've got my race car cufflinks.
That is quite casual for you. You normally would be in the three-piece suit.
Well, absolutely. I've got a tweed jacket. My wonderful late father-in-law gave me these, and so I've got to remember him today. Yeah,
very good. Very good. You're listening and watching to the first qualifying session for the 51st running of the ADAC Total Energy 24 Hours of the Nürburgring across the world in sound and vision via our hard-working colleagues at Nürburgring TV, and of course syndicated via the Radio Show Limited network of audio and visual channels. This is the official feed and it's free. Nobody should be asking you for any money for this. And at the weekend we'll keep reminding you that that stays pretty much like that on this English language feed for the whole of the weekend. In the US and Canada, Speed Sport 1, but that's free. In France, that changes at the weekend. I suspect probably to its French language, doesn't it? for that. So that will change to French language at the weekend on Automoto for that. And our colleagues there taking up the cudgels. But for the English language feed, no subscription required. And congratulations, sorry Peter, congratulations to the organisation team here for continuing that and extending that globally this year. So dropping down towards the bridge at Adana, the number 22 Audi R8 LMS GT3 Evo 2. Audi's had a good run in this early part of the season. Plenty of wins with this car for Audi Sport Customer Racing. And as recently, in fact, as the 12 Hours of Spa in endurance trim, the Santalok Racing, junior racing team, converting what was a 1-2-3 for Audi R8s in qualifying into a win. And we had them winning as well last weekend in Customer Racing Hands. I know there's quite a lot of discussion and rumour about the future of Audi Sport Customer Racing. They are here, they are represented, as are their customers, and the quote-unquote works cars, Peter, look great. There doesn't seem to be any winding down going on here. I know there's no replacement in the works right now for the street car, but homologations go on for many years, and it would seem that they are as competitive as ever, and as proud of their heritage as ever. Viz, the number one car, coming out onto the front straight now and going right across the line now, right in front of us in fantastic heritage livery.
Oh, it's wonderful, that number one car, of course, the defending champion, in a livery to throw back to Audi's success with the Quattro in Trans Am in the late 80s, with the 90 Quattro. With Hans-Joachim Stuck, a driver who knows his way around here, to say the least, and Hurley Haywood as well. So looks fantastic in that classic Audi Sport black, grey and red accents. Very simple livery, but very, very beautiful indeed. 4 special liveried Audis to celebrate 40 years of Audi Sport at this year's event. The Audi come in here as the defending champion. The Phoenix team, number 15 team, won last year. They've won the race 6 times, so they come in, and a lot of those wins are in the last decade.
Yeah.
So they've got real pedigree, fantastic drivers in every car as well. But the number one car has actually only one of the drivers from last year's winning lineup in it, Frederick Vervisch, who, because many, as you alluded to, John, many, with the sort of change of the ecosystem a little bit at Audi Sport, of course they've got an F1 program coming up which has affected things. A few of the drivers have left to pastures new, but Vervisch leading that team with Matteo Drudi, Ricardo Feller and Dennis Lind. The Wochenspiegel Ferrari unfortunately is parked at the side of the circuit. No slow zone coming up on our screen yet. In fact, just as our screen refreshes, it's got going again. Unless it's a replay, it is a replay. Yeah, car number 20, the Wochenspiegel newspaper car in beautiful chrome livery. It looks like it's just pulled over in a bit of a hurry there. This
is a Rinaldi run car, as is the Frickadelli car. But 2 completely different teams running under different auspices. There are some, we're told, talking to the Oracle, that is Marcus Schurig. Hello, Marcus. Thank you for helping out again, and good to see you. I'm sure we'll bump into you again over the weekend. Told that there is a couple of Ferrari engineers here, one for the Frickadelli machine, a couple of people from Orica who, of course, build the car. And that is dead stick, I'm afraid, from the V6 3-litre motor. 296, of course, is the new car, and shares the engine configuration, at least, with the new prototype, the new hypercar, 2.9 V6, that being the new Le Mans weapon.
And the anticipation of how that car is going to do at Le Mans is, I mean, it's had a great start to its racing career for just being fresh out the box. The prototype Ferrari has been amazing, absolutely amazing.
499p, that is.
Yeah.
499, referring to the cubic capacity of each of the 6 cylinders. So there.
Yeah, Maro Engel onto his first flying lap in the incredible number 3 Get Speed Mercedes. It's the 10th anniversary, so happy 10th birthday Get Speed, and they've done some special liveries for that, particularly on that number 3 car, which is bright green. You think, why bright green? Well, it's the Green Hell car, and the details on that car, if you're walking around the paddock, if you can get close to that car, so many great little details to it as well. And we spoke to the drivers last night on Midweek Motorsport, Maro Engel, Daniel Honcadera, and Jules Gounod. And they looked very quietly confident, didn't they? They didn't look like much is bothering them on a day-to-day basis.
What a great time they were having already. I mean, they were full of fun. They were having a joke with each other and with us when we were interviewing them. And Maro Engel, 22 years old, racing driver, first time here, he told us. I think none of that is true.
Absolutely none of it. No.
Indeed. No. They were having a good laugh at our expense, and reminding everybody how to pronounce their names, which I thought was very funny. They just seem in good spirits, and I think they've got to be one of the favourites this weekend. I know the BMWs have been strong in early NLS running, but I think they've got to be one of the favourites. Let's take a few more whilst we can in this session of your tweets coming in. Ken Childs tuned in. Their house cheering for the Dacia Logan. That is quite an extraordinary little thing to be running around here. Arnold Lincoln watching Q1 on the lunch break and heading out here tomorrow. Maurice, took me 33 years, but I'm going to be with you guys in person on Saturday. Not easy with my big wheelchair. Well, work that out. Make sure you do. There are some accessible areas around here, Maurice. I'm pleased to hear you're going to make it. And hello to resident of sunny Kent, Jake Hill. Hello, Jakey. British touring car driver extraordinaire. So he'll be busy this weekend at Snetterton and going out to do some British GT races soon. Yes.
So is that just a warm-up for coming to get his permit and come and race here? Come on, Jake. Come and join us here. Come and join the fun at the Nürburgring.
Jake, he would love.
He wouldn't need asked twice, would he?
Young Mr. Hill would love this place. And congratulations on the engagement as well, Jake. Ridiculous to think that you're even old enough for all of that now, and I hope you're still looking after the 1970 Le Mans winning Porsche model. He knows what that's all about. Good luck this weekend and in British GP, Jake Hill. Hello to Lucas watching from Milford Sound, New Zealand. Just praying the satellite internet stays up. Thank you for making this race, the stream for this race, and it makes it just extra special. Roxy Skarsgård, excited for the weekend action, watching along whilst at work. Sorry, I've got to keep it down a bit so the boss doesn't know.
Yes.
And Phil Anson has lent us his ears. He's in Dubai. Had nothing else to do this weekend. Yes, Phil Anson is the voice of Formula One in the Middle East for MBC. We send all of our best wishes to those affected by the horrible conditions in Emilia-Romagna. And so Phil finding himself with no work this weekend means he can join us. That's one more an hour viewer and listenership. Hello, Phil. Hope you're fitting well. Enjoying the weekend. Williams supporters. Andrew from Perth in Australia. Recently retired, all the time in the world now. Watching from home in sunny Hampshire, Tom Davies. Shout out to the fellow British Marshals who are here. Need to get out there one day. Well, I'm incredibly honoured to be an ambassador for British Motor Racing Marshals Club, and to all the British Marshals, indeed all the Marshals, well over 1,000 of them here this weekend, without whom we cannot go racing. Already we've got the Valkenhorst car moving around quite a lot. This is 101 BMW M4 GT3, second position at the moment, and it's young Mr. Cronjes behind the wheel of that one. Still the Audi of or now the Share of Sport Phoenix car, PHX car, at the top of the timings, the number 1. And
Marcus Winkelhock.
Marcus behind the wheel of that, indeed, with a 8:16.160. By the way, the Wochenspiegel Ferrari has been towed to a place of more relative safety. Gary Cronin says, do the cars that are already into top qualifying 2 each need to run 2 laps in qualifying 1, 2 and 3?
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Every driver in the field, if they wish to compete on the race on Saturday, they must complete 2 timed laps of the circuit as well. That applies to everyone, no exceptions on that. The Wochenspiegel Ferrari actually came to a halt at the Kiddelbacher Ho just before Flugplatz, so about a couple of 100 metres from our house.
No.
So, you know, we could have, if we were there, we could, yeah.
Last night going off from him when he was camping.
I was fast asleep by then.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
absolutely. Hello to Pentanix on the Discord group. The number 50, Akib Vitesse car. That's another car that's fallen foul of a driver having their permit removed. Not certain of the circumstances there, but apparently it was the Heinrich behind the wheel of that car that had their permit removed. The problem is, of course, if it's a driver who's bringing finance, that puts the whole entry in jeopardy, and so at least a couple of cars then that we know that. Right turn lover, right in the centre of Europe, sitting down with the pictures at the moment, and so is the real Braden Ryan for Michigan. Second time watching the N24. Hello to Jesse Young in New South Wales. Also tuned in. I really need to have a world clock in here, don't I? This will be my 3rd straight flag-to-flag all-nighter after the N24 and Dubai. With the N24 after Dubai and Daytona in front. I'm going to be building my Porsche 963 Lego set to keep me going. And Matt Hawkins says, mad few weeks for endurance racing, Nürburgring 24-hour weekend, then Le Mans test day in a few weeks before the big one. Let's start strongly. And we have full coverage of the test day. The only broadcaster that will do that, that will be on Haggerty Radio Le Mans on RS2. And then, of course, that's the prelude to the most comprehensive free-to-air and only dedicated free-to-air radio service for the Le Mans 24 Hours. And it is the 100th anniversary this year. No other way you can get the free coverage than with us on Haggerty Radio Le Mans, and many of the voices you'll hear this weekend will be back with us then. But Richard Creel coming up from Australia to join us this year. We'll give you the rest of the team when we get to test weekend. So, how far are we into this? Is that counting up or counting down? 1:07 and 39 to go in this session. Christian Kronius in second place at the moment in that. Well, talking about liveries, weren't we, with the throwback classic liveries with the Audis. But you've got to say the red, white and black striped Yokohama livery, that's right up there. Anybody who played the early versions of Gran Turismo and, like me, went for the Japanese domestic market cars, the JDMs, and particularly the race cars, I mean, that is right up there, isn't it? Oh,
it's a wonderful, wonderful livery. Which, yeah, if you're a fan of Japanese motorsport, the Advan and Yokohama colours are superb. I mean, Volkenhorst have a great partnership with Yokohama tyre. They're the only team in the SP9 category using those tyres across their spread of machinery. There are 3 cars that they have in the field in the SP9 class, and that's the great thing about the Nürburgring 24-hour. It makes it different to other series which might run a specification tyre where everyone has to run the same. The teams can choose. Now, Michelin have won 8 out of the last 10 years, with the Dunlop brand winning the other 2. So Michelin definitely got they've got the credentials behind them in recent times, but that's the thing, you never know. Team Falcon have always come here with a strong effort with their own cars. They run them themselves. two top two top Porsches filled with pro drivers. So they've definitely got a strong shout at this. So at the moment, at the top of the shop, we have an Audi, from a BMW, from another Audi, from a Porsche, from a Mercedes. So we've got three big German marques in fact, I can't count. We've got four big German marques in the top five. So that's wonderful to see.
The classes, well, SP9 is the top class, and that is obviously the share of sport Audi that leads that one. In SPX, the Schnitzelarm Racing number 222 in 17th position, the Mercedes-AMG GT2. We've got a few GT2s here, and I'm just wondering how they're going to go. We know that they're more powerful, less downforce, but they are going to be blindingly quick down the Dottinger Hurt. And that's a lead. The Schnitzelarm is a schnitzel, all-day schnitzel restaurant. Sounds fantastic to us. Cup 2 in 28th position is the K. Kramer Racing Porsche. Maurice Krantz, I think, behind the wheel of that one. In Cup 3, SRS Team Rennsport, Rennsport, is the Porsche 718 Cayman GT4, the number 182. Hyundai 830 is the best of the TCRs in 39th position. That's the Elantra TCR, number 830. Subaru Technica International SP40. We'll be calling this car's name quite a lot. It's the Subaru WRX. The Ford Motors Bio concept car is in the alternative fuel class, along with a couple of its teammates. That's sitting in top of that AT class in 48th position, and that is the Porsche 911 GT3 Cup car to 991, that one, isn't it? Then the RPM Racing 152 is leading Class SP6 in 56th position. That's another GT3 Cup car. And beyond that, I have to scroll down a little bit. In VT3 in 60th position, it's Team Mathol with a Porsche Cayman S. And that is the 300 car. Adrenaline Motorsport. Expect us to be seeing Adrenaline Motorsport quite a lot. 64th for their BMW M240i Racing Cup. That is a class on its own for the 240i. Started light as the 235s, designed specifically for here at the Nürburgring in the NLS and here at the 24 hours. Extended the homologation with a few changes and recategorized as M240s, although nothing done to the engines in terms of internals. It was all done electronically. The GT Tyre Motorsport by WS Racing number 82 car is 71st overall and leads SP8T to BMW M4 GT4 2021. Then it's the MSC Zinzig EW ADAC. That's the 109 car, SP3T, in 74th position. And that's the Audi TTS. Very nicely presented car, that. The Hyundai Driving Experience, number 527, is the leader in VT2 front-wheel drive in 76th position. And that's an i30N. See how many classes they are. Now you know why we split them up when we do our different updates on the hour. Otherwise, we'd be doing it for a very long time indeed. And I've managed to just lose that page. There we go. Adrenaline Motorsport, told you. Team Mortec, the rear drive VT2 Hecka. That's the 330 in 78th position. And that almost certainly with BMW. It is the BMW 330. That's handy, isn't it? The 91 in V6 in 90th position is a stealth car. It's a 911 Carrera, but I haven't got a team name for that at the moment. That might change. We'll try and work that one out. And finally, in our class lists, in V5, another Adrenaline Motorsport team, Mortec. 91st of the cars that's been out as a Porsche Cayman CM12.
Strange occurrence for the Conrad Motorsport Lamborghini. A bit of bodywork just coming flying off on the Dothinger, who at one of the fastest points of the circuit. Then Julien Andlauer and the Rutronic Porsche having to just sort of take a slight avoiding action as it came flying off. So there's always surprises around every corner, or indeed on any straightaway here at the Nürburgring Nordschleife. The two top-line Porsches just about to come up over the line. Frederick Makowiecki in the Manthey Racing machine, number 911, with the number 44 Falcon Porsche of Nico Menzel right in his slipstream. Both drivers interrupted by slow zones and yellow flags through their laps, but personal best sectors for those cars being set by both drivers. So when they had the clear track, they're running quickly. So Marcus Winkelhock, three-time winner of the race, fastest on the shop at the moment in 8:16.1. Now, one fan favourite car, John, we have to talk about is the Fricadelli Ferrari, which is a car that's got everybody talking this season on the Nürburgring. Now, Felipe Fernandez-Lazar took that car out of the pits, went through the first two sectors, and then came back in. So he did not go on to the Nordschleife. That is the only running that car has done. One run round the Grand Prix loop and then straight into the garage. And I can't see the car out on the pit apron either from our view from the Global Broadcast Centre. So something potentially afoot for the number 30 Fricadelli Ferrari.
Hello to Steen Ledger, who is all the way down in Australia, supporting the number 85 Cup 3 car.
Great sim racer, Steen.
Yeah, he really is. 718 Cayman GT4, that Cup 3 car, second in class at the moment. Although it's not Steen at the wheel, it's his teammate at the moment. Also to David Rice, who's in South Carolina, building BMW X3s and 4s. BMW driving experience just over the road from the factory there is superb. Taking a few laps around. I didn't say a few spins around there, but it was actually a few laps around there. Great part of the world. Hello, David. And to Jesse Young, if we're talking about Valkenhorst, Gran Turismo and Japanese motorsport, what about this stunning blue PlayStation livery that ran on the M6 GT3 when Kazunori Yamauchi drove the car in the N24? That is a fair point, well made and beautifully presented. Kazunori, just a smashing guy. Obviously, we did quite a lot of work with Gran Turismo down through the years. And that's RSL_studio, if you don't mind.
Without Gran Turismo, many people around the world wouldn't know that this wonderful facility exists.
Totally.
It's often the way that people experience it for the first time and gives them their motivation to come and see it for real.
I had a very interesting conversation in America in my early IMSA days, and talking to somebody about the Nürburgring and, you know, getting ready to go, and you know how we wanted to cover it. So it would have been probably the early 2000s. We first came here in 2007 to do English language coverage, and he said, "I'm sorry, go to the Nürburgring?" I said, "Yes." He said, "No, but that's just, it's a made-up track on a game, isn't it?"
It's like Trial Mountain.
Yeah, exactly. People did not believe, if they weren't into motorsport, and I don't judge people for this, because when you think about it, nobody would build this now. It's extraordinary, and it is like something from the crazed mind of a torturer for cars and tyres and drivers. Similarly, actually, when very early years in the States, when I'd been mentioning to somebody, I'd been working with Colin McRae, and they said, "Oh, you mean like Colin McRae Rally?" Yeah. So it was an actor playing Colin McRae from Colin McRae Rally. I went, no, Colin McRae is a real person. Oh, it's not just a person in a video game.
He was... Colin's exploits in a car were so extravagant and so wonderful and so exciting. They almost were a thing of fiction.
Yeah,
they were
cartoonish.
They were. Everything was spectacular, wonderful.
Decent sports car driver as well when he was given the chance.
I know.
Going to Le Mans. among other things.
More personal best sectors going in for our fastest driver on the timesheets at the moment, Marcus Finkelhock, putting in some PBs there. He had done before coming back to his car. Yes, he's just coming up to the timing beam now.
Mike Rockenfeller talking to his teammate down in the pit lane, and what a return to top flight prototype racing for Rocky last weekend. We've got the rubbish on the track, debris or fluid flag, the yellow and red flag out just before the Bilstein Bridge at the end of the Dottinger Hohe. Rocky, how amazing is this? A testament, by the way, to not only the team's concerned, the driver's concerned, but also Porsche Customer Racing from Weissach. Both Hertz Jota Racing and last weekend John Church, JDC, Miller Motorsport at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, been giving competition debuts to their new Porsche 963 GTP or LMDH cars or hypercars, depending on which series they're in, but Porsche 963s. Hertz Team Jota at Spa put the fastest race lap in of any of the Porsches, and that means the Eclipse 2 Porsche Penske Motorsport Works cars, and finished creditably inside, I think, the top 6 at Spa, whilst Rocky and it was Timon van der Helm with him for JDC. They hadn't even driven the car before first practice. The shakedown was done for them at Weissach, and the car was shipped, and they didn't even have enough time to run it round the car park, as John Church was telling us. So the first practice session at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca was the first time that either Rocky or Timon had sat in the car, other than having their seats made. And not only did they get it to the end of the race, but they were having a great scrap at the end with the Shank 60 Acura, and only lost that position with a couple of 3 laps to go. Brilliant stuff, and proof if proof were needed. Anybody who knows Rocky knows this already. Rocky's not going to get any slower. It doesn't matter how long he's been out in the car, and obviously you've tracked his career with your extensive research for your Porsche RS Spider book, due out soon in all good bookshops, and some not so good ones as well, I would expect.
We'll accept those too.
Yeah. Will you take those?
Yes.
When is that book coming, Peter? I've had people asking for some time now.
2023 with the is that specific?
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, we'll be there. We'll be there. It's written and ready to go. We're just in the final stages.
Seem to be a lot of people who are watching and listening whilst at work. David, only 10 minutes from the track, but has to work today. Unusually, because it is a holiday today. It's a holy day actually today, Ascension Day. Also, Johnny loving the coverage, listening quietly and sneakily at work. Hello, Johnny. We'll go all the way through to the end of the qualifying session this evening. Got a problem for... That is a broken steering arm for the number 82 BMW M4. And that is very bad news because they're stranded out on the circuit.
Actually, the 88. Yes, it's the 88. It's the FK Performance car.
Wow. You're right. It was so much. He scraped the barrier down the left-hand side of the car and actually taken part of the number off. My apologies. I misread that number. Heavy damage to the left front of that car. Tony Richards for FK Performance in that car, and he's done very well to get it out of there. He had to reverse and then get the wheel straightened, and then you're going to have to be very careful because, he's leaking fluid as well from the left front. Radiators underneath there. And that's one of the G82 cars. That was in the Hohenrhein chicane area.
Tony's one of the drivers he's come a long way. He's come from New Zealand for this event. Unfortunately crashed out last year in the race, so not a good start to his Nürburgring weekend. But if you're going to make an error, make it today rather than Saturday and Sunday. is the blue sky thinking. Wait.
Joe Ginzinger is working from home in Detroit, Michigan.
Oh, Motor City.
Sorry, Michigan. Can't wait for the race this weekend. Do you think we'll see the Corvette GT3 or Mustang GT3 this year? Well, Joe, look through the entry list and see if you can spot anybody who might normally be racing with a bow tie. And I don't mean round their neck, I mean stitched into their overalls, because there are a number, are there not, Mr. Mackay, of drivers here in manufacturers for whom they do not drive.
Yes.
If they are Chevy drivers. We've got 3 Chevy drivers.
When you mention drivers with a bow tie, I always think of Mike Hawthorne. But yes, there's a lot of General Motors Group drivers here. Earl Bamber is here. Nicky Katzberg, they're both in the same car. Alexander Sims is back again this year. So there are a lot of General Motors affiliated drivers who could potentially be in the running if Corvette were to come here to the Nürburgring 24-hour. Now, if you're a regular fan of Corvette racing, you go, but we don't have the right type of car. We've got a GTE car. Well, Corvette Racing have a GT3 spec car coming into competition next year, and that therefore they would be eligible for SP9 and Ford, of course.
Yeah.
Yes,
so
of
WEC, WEC and IMSA, and possibly here. We were just talking across the lunchtime about which drivers might be gathering some experience, and then rather absent-mindedly in some ways and tangentially just drifted off into a possible Nürburgring. Now, I know that Johnny O'Connell has got his permit. I'm not sure if Ollie Gavin has, but he runs the Chevy Corvette driving school here in Europe. Who else did we mention that we could get in?
Not a Corvette driver, but David Donoghue is a bronze.
Right.
So Johnny Max Angelelli is a bronze.
Max Angelelli, thank you.
Max Angelelli,
Well, he's got GM
Corvette guy. Yeah.
Max Angelelli.
Yes. The Corvette racing does last with the summer of wine.
That's it, no, but there's only you and me who are listening know what that means. Laura Wantrock Klauser, head of Chevrolet Racing, if you're listening, please make that happen. Johnny O'Connell's probably already on the phone, knowing Johnny. Still getting Tony Richards back to the pit, and there was another car on the run-up to the mud curve, I think, on the left-hand side of the track that looks like it's been in the barriers. Maybe it's the 563 Porsche Cayman X.
Yes, it was a Cayman. Yeah.
Right. Well, okay, that was Kesselchen then. So that is the number 563. Contact has had contact with the number 7 car. We're hearing.
Oh, that's a top class car.
The race control.
That's the Conrad Lamborghini.
Yeah.
Which had the bit of bodywork that came off.
Axel Jeffries out in that car at the moment.
Now we're both descendants of policemen, and I would say that that's not a coincidence that the 7 had contact and a bit of bodywork came off on that car.
My dad never believed in
no such thing. No.
Not at all.
I'm going to put that one in my pocketbook.
Yeah, making contemporaneous notes, are you, PC McGuy? Very good. As soon as practicably possible. So that's a horrible start for the Lamorid father and son team in that Cayman S, number 563. Now, if I whiz down, it must have crossed the timing line. So I should be able to find out who was in that car, because that's not information that we get. Oh, it was Lamorid Senior. This is one of the SRS Team Zorg Rennsport entered cars in V6, Porsche Cayman S. I think that car was facing the wrong direction, or certainly had been in the wall at some point. Yeah. So that car will be recovered.
Super fast point of the circuit, uphill all the way, flat out all the way, left, up the hill. It's Moot Curve, it's Bravery Corner, isn't it?
No, it was, they're saying that was at Kesselchen.
Which is just the next. It's one and the same, really. Yeah.
After Bergwerk, you're coming out of Bergwerk. Again, if you're not used to this, cars that are in the wall now, if they can get back and get fixed, they can go back out. Outside assistance here it does not disqualify you from a session or indeed the race. The organisers here very much of, you've paid your money, and if you can get it back and get it fixed, get it back out there. And you know, it's not Le Mans, it's not the World Championship, different regulations. So just get used to that. So you may well see cars being towed back by intervention vehicles, which for many years were very beautiful old flat-fronted Jeep Cherokees, the straight 6.4 litre cars. I think they've been put out to pasture now. Just lovely cars. But they could come back, again, being covered with double yellows or perhaps with an intervention car with its lights on behind it. So into, what have we got left there, Peter?
45 minutes.
So we're halfway through the session. And Scherer Sport still have the best time, Marcus Winkelhock. Kuba Gimasiak has just taken out the Valkenhorst Motorsport BMW GT3, the number 101. That's one of the Yokohama tyres car. Raffaele Marciello is in the number 4 Team Bilstein Mercedes-AMG GT3. That's the hand-painted one, isn't it, before?
That's correct,
yeah.
Yes. To paint a race car nowadays is very rare for two really important reasons in motorsport. One, weight. It's heavier to paint the car than to wrap it. And also cost, which is important in motorsport also because it's a jolly expensive business as it is. You don't need to add any more. But that paint job looks absolutely superb. So the yellow and black number 4 HRT or Bilstein Mercedes. Keep an eye out for that all weekend. Some great liveries.
Something else we've been talking about, we were talking about today. Jake Parrott. Hello, Jake. With LMGT3 in WEC and at Le Mans being AM only next year, or at least Pro-Am, actually, and a real Corvette GT3 available in GT3 to go into Pro in IMSA, perhaps tackling the Nürburgring 24 and the CrowdStrike Spa 24 with a full Pro team might be on the cards for Corvette, and maybe Ford would follow. That's what got us talking about it. We were talking to one of our colleagues from the German coverage, and he was asking about Corvette. I think it's odds on, I'll be honest with you, because they can't put a full Pro team into Le Mans, but they can here, and they can at the CrowdStrike 24 hours. I think it's a no-brainer for them with the new GT3 car, and I suspect, as something's just fallen off a car, there's still that little bit of debris on the bottom end of the Doniger Her. I think it's a no-brainer for them and for Multimatic, Ford, Larry Holt, to do something similar with Ford. Bit of controversy about the Ford the Ford Mustang actually, because Stefan Rattel doesn't really see that as a GT car, and he doesn't, and neither does his other manufacturers. They do not want to be competing against a car that costs half the price of their cars in the showroom. However, with the new set of regulations coming out, Stefan doesn't have as much sway as he used to have, particularly, and no sway at all, of course, with the FIA and the ACO, or indeed here.
Yeah.
So
well, we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see. It wouldn't be the first time a Ford GT car ruffled some feathers.
Oh, yeah.
Now, great to hear from Craig Williams typing in. Now, I remember yesterday I mentioned that in the World Touring Car Series on iRacing, there was most enter in Hyundais and Hondas, and there was one sole Audi. Craig Williams, the Frank Biela of the World Touring Car Series.
Well, and he's obviously a Middlesbrough supporter as well. Because he says he's watching from the sunny northeast of England. I guess we can both feel glad about the championship playoff. We didn't expect to get there, Craig. I'm a Sunderland supporter, as many of you will know. So made sure I got here in plenty of time on Tuesday night to unfortunately watch us getting knocked out of the playoff situation. But I think they'll be more disappointed than us down on Teesside. I'm surprised you can see the sky, Craig, at the sun at the moment, being on Teesside with all that industrial smog. Only kidding.
Oh dear.
hence they are called
I'll change the
Smoggers.
subject from the...
At RSL
Yeah.
Studio. Hello to Tom Davies. Here's something we can talk about. Some debris at the end of the Nordschleife coming onto the track on the front straight, and I think that's the Dumoulin Aston that's got problems as well, with the rear wing completely deranged. Was that the number 28 car? Yes,
Yeah,
it is.
SP9 car.
This is a very handsome green and white car. So there's been contact there, but it looked like some rear bodywork that was on the transition from the Nordschleife to the Grand Prix track.
The debris came from Tony Richards' BMW. It had been strewn all over the field and caught the ire of a tut and a shake of the head from Augusto Farfus and Philippe Peng watching on the screens, and it's because it's in quite a fast place when the drivers transition off the Nordschleife and onto the start-finish straight. It's very, very fast there, and you don't want to be picking up punctures and all sorts of nasty things like that.
Now, this one is one for you, because I know you're right up to date with this. And some of these changed actually yesterday. Tom Davies. Hello, Tom. Any BOP changes since the qualifying races a couple of weeks ago? He's one of the Orange Army from the British Motor Racing Marshals Club. It was a couple of weeks ago. There were some. There's been a bit of in-out shaking all about. And then yesterday, there were changes again. Summarise them for us, Peter.
Okay, so coming out of the qualifying race weekend, we had a 2-hour race on the Saturday and a 4-hour race on the Sunday. That 4-hour race was won by the Fricadelli Ferrari, which has been bloodying noses ever since it hit the track at the beginning of the season. And after the qualifying race, the organising body have done 2 balance of performance changes. So they are as such. The Ferrari 296 GT3, which is what Fricadelli are running, had 10 kilograms added, which, if that doesn't sound much, it is 10 kilograms, because it affects everything: braking, turning,
25 pounds for those of you who work in the Advois system.
But it's a turbocharged car, and it had turbo boost pressure taken down at 4 different points between 2,000 and 5,500 RPM. Now, that has stayed as it is, but yesterday they have had 4 litres of fuel capacity added, so they will be able to perhaps run the engine a bit richer or be able to hit their stints a little bit easier as well. The Porsche, since the qualifying race weekend, has had 3 litres of fuel capacity added, so again Porsche might be able to run a little bit leaner. Now, one of the big controversial points, and some of the drivers in the paddock chatting to us about the Lamborghini Huracan, but not the Conrad car, which is the old version. The new version, the GT3 Evo 2, run by a pretty top team, App Sportsline, and 4 top drivers. That car, after the qualifying race weekend, had 15 kilos removed, but had an ever so slightly smaller restrictor put in.
They only have one restrictor.
Yes, 1 millimetre smaller. But when we came in yesterday and looked at the system, they had that 15 kilograms put back on again, but then they've had their restrictor widened again, but also had a little bit of wing angle added. So to add that up, the weight's been added on, that slows it down. Restrictor being widened, that speeds it up. And the wing angle being added, that makes it a little bit draggier, a little bit slower in straight lines. So will we see what effect that has had today? Maybe not, but we will see it once we get racing on Saturday. So I hope that answers the question on the balance of performance. And do remember, it can change between now and Saturday also.
Balance of performance can go up as well as down.
Yes.
Your investment is not safe.
If you do not make your payments, we might break your legs.
That's right. Over in Korea, Pentanix is tuned in. Thanks for that intel on that withdrawal, Pentanix. Quality starting for you, 3 a.m. backing the 72 BMW Juniors. I think that's a smart bet, to be honest. If you got that in the office sweep, and by the way, you can play along with that. Just tear all the numbers out and hand them around. Not condoning any big gambling, but just for a bit of fun. If you got the 72 BMW Juniors in the office sweep, you would not be disappointed. We were talking to Rebecca Keith there last night, who's their team manager, looking after one of the GT4 cars as well. Those BMWs have been superb in the first 3 NLS races this year. Now, we should say the NLS is not, this is not part of the NLS, and the NLS is not part of this. So there was 3 NLS races and a qualifying weekend for this 24-hour race. Now, despite the fact that they're not linked together, clearly it makes perfect sense for the ADAC who run this race to utilise the VLN, because it is still the VLN who are the overarching organisers of the NLS Nürburgring long distance series, effectively, Langstrecke series, long track series, long circuit series, actually it would be the direct translation. So they use some of the data and some of the results to move forward into this race. Then they have the qualifying races for more data as well. And Pentanix there, if that's a good pick, because BMW won the first 3 races with 3 different cars on 3 different 2 different cars.
3 different cars, 2 different tyres.
3 different cars.
2 on Michelin, 1 on Yokohama.
Yeah, exactly so. That tells me that that's a good platform around here. Whatever the weather and whatever the tyre, and that's all you can ask for here. And BMW have not had their BOP touched at all since the first wheel turned for the first NLS earlier in the year.
No, they haven't. So they know exactly what they're dealing with. And I would say the BMW Junior team have been the most consistent performers over the Nürburgring season so far. They were 5th in the first race, 3rd in the second race, and then they didn't win NLS 3, they dominated it. They absolutely wiped the floor with everybody, and they scored BMW's 50th overall NLS win in the process. So they are really coming into this Nürburgring 24-hour weekend with their chin up, their shoulders out, and ready to go. I mean, the BMW Junior team, they've really been trained and honed here at the Nürburgring. They've lived here for a couple of years, very close by to the circuit, and have kind of cut their teeth there as well. Neil Verhagen came in to join us in the Global Broadcast Centre at Daytona. I had a great chat with him, and he was just itching to get back to racing on the Nordschleife as well. So yeah, I think if you've got them if you've got the cars number 72 in the sweep, you're going to be very happy indeed. That's a very strong choice. And we talked about this in our preview show yesterday on Midweek Motorsport, is that for a manufacturer to win the Nürburgring 24-hour, you need depth. You need lots of good cars. One good car is no use, because things can go wrong, which unfortunately the Manthey Porsche is showing at the moment. It's going quite slowly on the Grand Prix circuit with its hazards lights on. And now, who's at the wheel of that car at the moment? That's Michael Christensen from Denmark, winner 2 years ago as well. And it's going very slow. So something not right at the wheel of the Grello 911.
We didn't even mention that one in our
preview show.
Walk down the pit lane, because it was actually still down at Adenau. They weren't letting it go. It's a real fan favourite around here. The workshop is just off the Dottinger Moist Path. They'll be having a big barbecue tonight or tomorrow night. Always good. It has got back to the pit lane because it was only on the Grand Prix circuit. Let me quickly give you some quotes coming in for drivers who've been in the car early on from the number 39 Audi Evo 2, Patrick Niederhauser, who's sharing with Chris Meese, among others. And as I say that, it has just turned over, excuse me. So what did he say? Chris Meese and Christopher Haase. We have a small technical problem. The guys are looking at it. Of course, we didn't want to start the weekend like that, but I'm sure that the guys will get it fixed and we'll be back out. The Golf GTI TCR number 110 has been had its best time disqualified for speeding in the pit lane. Marcus Winkelhock has been talking to our pit lane reporters as well in the Audi R8 number 16. Not a lot going on the track at the moment, but you still have to be careful. Not everyone has found their rhythm. Our car running well. It's a very good point, that, isn't it, from Marcus? He was doing well. That's still his time at the top, by the way, the 8:16.160. Toyota Supra number 227 Georg Griezmann saying, when you drive out here, every race's heart beats faster, especially on your first lap. Every other driver... Oh, who's that talking in the background?
That's the Manthey Racing. They're doing a quick driver change. Michael Christensen brought the car in.
In fact, they all changed
and popping Thomas Preining in the car.
He says, just to finish off with, Georg was saying, every driver has got to do 2 mandatory laps. We were talking about that early on. Axel Jeffries, the number 7. It's another, that's the Lamborghini, the Conrad Lamborghini. Technical problem, but it's fine now. It's fast, but we're going to have to stay out of trouble. I think that will be a fast car, by the way. Sheldon van der Linde out of the BMW number 98, saying we're 4th place, quite happy with that. At the moment, that's the Rover Racing car. Completely new car. We're doing a little sort of roll out. The track's a bit dirty at the moment. All right, now that's interesting. So that 98 car is new for this weekend. So that's a new chassis, Peter. Make a note of that.
Just watching a replay of Michael Christensen coming out of the transition from the Nordschleife to the Grand Prix circuit, and car not sounding healthy at all.
Is that what I can hear in the
That's
background?
what's coming through on our,
Sounds
on our
like
audio
can't change
feed.
gear.
It sounds like he can't go anywhere near top revs. So maybe it's just a warning light on the dash and they'll just bring it back safely. It might not be anything too much to worry about.
He hasn't made a gear change. He hasn't made a single gear change since he came out of the...
He had done, but...
That's not a gear change, that was a miss. Was that might have been a downshift.
Yeah.
So fortunately, it must have happened before he went out onto the Nordschleife, because he's...
No, he was on the Nordschleife. He was just finishing a lap.
He's coming
and
off
and he came out and it just went... interesting one there. Michael Christensen back in the pits then, and Frederick Makoviecki and Kevin Estre not looking the slightest bit concerned at all, having a good old chuckle in the pit box.
So that obviously means the driver did something wrong, and they're taking the mickey out of him.
I don't know. Well, Michael Christensen looks... Well, the thing is, saying Michael Christensen looks relaxed, that's all the time.
No, that's
all the time. He's unflappable.
That's his standard.
Yeah.
That's his standard operating procedure.
Yeah, yeah. Interesting that many of the teams are working through. Yeah, now this was the
Arjun Maini.
Arjun Maini, yeah, because he'd set a great sector time around Schwedenkreuz. So the Mercedes, the Bilstein number 6 Mercedes, looking very strong in the very fast corners in those parts of the circuit. So an 8:14.7 for Arjun Maini. But many of the teams just doing minimum 2 laps, making sure that they're in the big show on Saturday. And Manthey, well, they're 3 out of 4 drivers have done that already. And interestingly, you've got two Frenchmen and a Dane, and they're doing their debrief in English.
I mean, with a break, we need to go too forward, and you have...
Fred.
Just when someone puts a hand over the microphone.
Yeah. Kevin Estre listening in as well. In fact, both of his teammates listening in. We're trying to listen in and hear what they're saying. I think the Porsche GT3 car, the new GT3R, which is the 992, they are very, very sophisticated cars. And one of the things you've got to get absolutely right on these new GT3 cars is the brake balance. And if you don't, you can do damage to the gearbox on down changes if you start locking the wheels. So you don't want it, you want it forward, but you don't want it too far forward. And I just wonder if they're talking about where they're getting the grip and where they're not getting the grip.
Interesting. I mean, Sheldon van der Linde mentioned that the track is dirty out there. I think the track will take a little bit of rubbering in. This is the first proper race session that we've had on the circuit. So yeah, it will need a little bit of rubbering in and a little bit of cleaning up, and it will get quicker as well. Also, this is especially if you're in SP9. and you're in the top qualifying sessions tomorrow, today is just about getting those 2 laps each done. And if you've got a driver maybe in the car who's got less experience or needs a bit more track time, get them in the car and do that. That's what these sessions are for. If you're not in SP9, it's go and try and get a clean qualifying lap, because a completely clean sector by sector qualifying lap here without any slow zones or yellow flags is quite a rare thing, and you have to put, the more laps you put in, the more chance you've got of getting one of those.
Remco says he thinks Christensen had run out of fuel, which is why they might have been taking the mickey out of them.
I doubt that, because it's a possibility, but I doubt it, because in top qualifying they run with a full tank. So to run on really low fuel wouldn't really make a great deal of sense. So it is a possibility though. It is a possibility though, but unlikely given that qualifying is done under fuel. Top qualifying is done under fuel.
So Arjun Mayani to the top. 8:14.785. Now, the other thing to remind people, if you've been watching the NLS this year, this is a different circuit to NLS.
Slightly,
yeah. Not on the Nordschleife. Obviously, that remains the same. But we run all the way down to the Dunlop hairpin on the Grand Prix circuit, and it's slightly different in the Mercedes arena as well, in that you run the tighter first corner and then left and tighter left before the right-hander and dropping down the hill. So it's a slightly longer Grand Prix circuit. Nordschleife stays the same, of course.
So Dan Harper now at the wheel of the number 72 BMW Junior Team car, heading down through the Niki Lauda left and down towards Bergwerk. And yeah, Daniel has had a superb season at the wheel of that car alongside Max Hesse and Neil Verhagen. Apparently Neil, when they all lived together, I'm not sure if they still do, but Neil Verhagen was the chef.
Oh really?
Yes, apparently so. Wolkenspiegel car number 20, the Ferrari, in the pit lane, and a Ferrari jacketed engineer pouring in there trying to keep a look. We know that the Fricadelli team have one Ferrari engineer with them. Of course, the Fricadelli car being run by Rinaldi also. So they've got the Wolkenspiegel car back. This is not encouraging.
That car is going to be incredibly competitive when it runs. The thought is, how long can it run? It won the 4-hour race in the qualifying weekend. It does not take anyone with extreme applied maths to work out that that's only a sixth of the race that we have this weekend. That's only arithmetic. It's not even maths. Even I could do that. And also, we've seen those 296s complete 24 hours at Daytona and 12 hours at Sebring. 12 hours at Sebring is pretty tough. But it's not 24 hours here. No. 24 hours here with the speeds, the excessively high speeds, the curb strikes, the traffic, the damage, etc., etc. You seldom see a car, even a car that's done very well, in Parc Fermé on Sunday afternoon. They'll be filthy, but most of them will have a scratch or a scrape or a bit of tape on them or a bit of bodywork missing or a streak gone here. And that, I think, that's the difference when you're going round here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it will be a worry for Rinaldi Racing running the Team Wolkenspiegel and the Fricadelli car that not just one, both cars appear to not be running at least a full programme. We saw quite obviously the Wolkenspiegel car having to pull up at the side of the road and be recovered. The Fricadelli car is a bit more of a mystery. They might just be running a very relaxed programme, but certainly not a programme like any of their competitors are, who are all getting 2 laps in per driver and setting, indicative times. So there's question marks in the garage at Fricadelli Racing and Wolkenspiegel Team Manschau at the moment. So we'll see. Marjun Mene on another flying lap put another personal best sector in Sector 6, which is the section from Exmühle, up through Bergwerk, and then up the hill towards Mutkirch. So I don't think there's much wrong with the straight line speed of those and the torque, the low down torque of those Mercedes-AMG GT3s, because where they're setting their top sectors, it's in very, very fast parts of the circuit.
You're listening to the last 21 minutes of the first qualifying session, live from the Nürburgring. It's the 51st running of the ADAC Total Energy 24 Hours. Good to have you company, Peter Mackay and me, John Hindhoff, in this first session. We'll have Johnny Palmer, along with our regular voices of the NLS on the World Feed TV and RSL, Bruce Jones and Peter Snowden. They'll be joining us and taking over for the nighttime session. That means that Peter and I can go and find some more schnitzel.
Yes, we can. I wonder if we could maybe jump in our wonderful Hyundai Tucson and go and watch out on the Nordschleife, maybe, if we'll leave the boys to it. We'll like listen into them, of course.
Of course, we'll be
listening.
Yes.
Yeah,
indeed.
So,
sure what passes we've got to get out there, but I'm already working on the responsible adult. So under 20 minutes to go then. Every session counts here in terms of timing. We've also got laps to get in for every driver. So we've worked through quite a lot of stories in the top classes. However, GT3, or SP9, Peter, is, yes, it's an important part, and the headlines on Sunday will be about who's won. But fantastic battles right throughout all of the classes. And we've got, 14, 15?
a multitude.
Yeah, a lot.
A multitude of
Not every
of
class that we have got available has got cars in it. For example, that we haven't got any electric vehicles, and I don't think we've got any VTs, hybrids either.
No, sadly not.
But we have still got those biofuel cars in the alternative fuel. That's down through the years. That's always been interesting. We had diesel cars, we've had hydrogen running cars, liquefied natural gas as well, and this year it's biofuel. But get used to that, everybody. We'll be running on renewable fuels. Already quite a few championships around the world doing that, including IMSA and the FIA World Endurance Championship. TotalEnergies right at the very forefront of that, making high-performance race fuel from what normally would be the discarded residue from making red wine. So every little bottle of red wine that you drink, you're doing your bit to fuel motor racing around the world.
I'll go along with that theory. I'll go along with that theory. I mean, one of the classes that I think is going to provide some of the best and tightest action is the Cup 2 class, which is for Porsche 992 Cup cars. That's being led by K. Kramer Racing, a team that have a lot of wins behind them already. They've had a win at NLS 2 and 3 and both qualifying races as well. So the team to beat in that class, and their fastest lap of this session is an 8:37. So I mean, they're only 20 seconds or so off the top SP9 car. So they're going very quick indeed as Nicky Katzberg gets on board the Fricadelli Ferrari and out for a run. So that car looking like a little bit more healthy again, which is good. But Alex Brundle, a name which will be familiar to many of our British fans and fans of the World Endurance Championship as well, had never seen the car or let alone driven it until last night. This is his first experience. He's third quickest and 8:42.6.
And that's the 1-2-3.
1-2-3 Brundle. Your ham is ready, as he says.
Yes, that's very fun. Very funny. Hello to Shay Adam, our Gearbox
hi,
girl,
Shay.
on the show last night. He's now travelling to Road Atlanta and is watching on a plane. How cool is that? So, in-flight Wi-Fi working well. Reminds us that neither of the the Ferrari 296 didn't actually complete the Rolex without a bit of trouble. Neither of them did. The best of them, the one that wasn't run by AF Porsche, finished 10 laps down. Although Risi finished on the lead lap at Sebring, but that was a GTD Pro car, but the three running in GTD did not. So thank you very much.
Trust you to know that.
20 classes of cars, says James Muscat, for this session. Timing 71 running for this as well. If you haven't got the widget on your Chrome browser, then you're not getting the best out of it. Thank you, Shay. I don't know what's on at Road Atlanta this weekend. Is it Ferrari Challenge?
Must be.
This weekend.
Yeah,
it's Road Atlanta. Shay will tell us.
Anything at Road Atlanta's excellent. Absolutely excellent.
Been to Road Atlanta?
Never.
So that's another one you haven't been to.
That's another one to tick off the list. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Bet they don't have as good a model shop as here, though.
It is Ferrari Challenge North America, I've just checked. The vendor midway at the top of the hill at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta is amazing, considering it's not there all the time. So it literally drops in for the race.
Wow.
And the merch and models that are there are very, very good indeed. Spark models in particular, which I think are very good.
Is that's then the real litmus test, the real acid test of a proper race circuit, is if they've got a good model shop within vicinity of the circuit.
Well,
and a schnitzel for your breakfast on
schnitzel,
a roll.
obviously, is top of the list.
Yeah.
Remember what we were talking about, law enforcement. What you get taught when you've got any family member, any close family member in law enforcement, is if you get offered a hot drink or something to eat, you take it, because you never know when the next opportunity for you to eat or drink will be. And it's pretty much the same in our game, isn't it? Because you never know what's going to happen. So we just finished our production meeting and lunch is being served, so we stayed on and had lunch immediately.
We did.
Because you never know, you leave, something happens, you've got to do a test, or you get grabbed to go and record something, and then you're dashing back, throwing a headset on, and you realise all of a sudden you haven't had your requisite 3 daily.
Kurt, I knew I was going to do that. Nicky team has just set the fastest lap of the session for the App Sportsline Lamborghini, car number 27. Just a few seconds off the top of the timesheets at the moment. The reason why I said Kurt team, his father Kurt is taking part in the Tourenwagen Legend race that is on this weekend as well. So it's not just the 24-hour race cars. We've got some great young timers, old timers, and Tourenwagen Legends as well to watch. So yeah, the track is very rarely quiet here at the Nürburgring. And that's before you even put race cars on it.
You will not believe the young timers race.
Oh, I can't wait. Can't wait.
When somebody says to me, what race would you like to do? There's two. One is the 6 hours for production cars at Bathurst. That's a race that's on my bucket list to drive in.
Okay.
I won't say to race in, but to be in behind the wheel of a car. For anything at Bathurst, to be honest. And the other one is the young timer race here at this weekend, and because it's just extraordinary. And I actually don't care what I drive. I don't need to drive anything super quick, and probably just as well that I didn't. But I actually don't care what I drive. If somebody said one of those Audi 50 Cup cars, yeah, absolutely, I'm in there. NSU, yeah, I'm there. Old Mini, probably. Just, this is the track, and for those of you who have done it in virtual reality, you can learn which way the track goes in virtual reality really, really well. And that is how I learned the track here. And so before I came here in 2006, I did loads of laps on Gran Turismo, and then I bought some tourist laps. I think I got about 3 laps for the price of 1 that you pay now. And I put my sat-nav right next to the rear view mirror on the screen and zoomed it in as much as I could and used that to remind myself where I was. So a bit like having a visual co-driver with me, and did a few laps and slowly built myself up. And then down through the years with various manufacturers, I've been here on manufacturer days and done tests and driven road cars and race cars, but never raced here. But it's great to drive it, but I would like to race it. I'd like just to say I'd been in a race here.
I think the two classic events I'd like to do would be the Youngtimer race here in a 935.
Oh, you're brave.
Yep. And
hang on a second. I'll just show you this. What's that? This is the accelerator. No, that appears to be a light switch.
Yes.
Yes. Well, it has the same kind
of effect. Yeah, but it's a light switch that you have to go press. 1, 2, 3, bang. There we go.
Yeah.
And then I would love to do the HSR Sebring race in an RS Spider. I think my neck would need some work before doing that as well. Martin Raginger brings the number 44 Falcon Motorsport Porsche into pit lane. Martin has done this race many, many times with that team. 12 times before he has done that race with Team Falcon. So knows the tyres well and knows the team well as well. Very important indeed.
Hello to Rebecca Jones. And watching whilst unpacking her food shopping. I think that's just as glamorous as shaping at 32,000 feet, Rebecca. And hello to Paul Smith. Oh, you've mentioned a model shop. I now have to avoid the Nürburgring as my bank account would very quickly. Now, it depends what you're into, Paul. Actually, no, it doesn't, because it has just about everything. Everything. And I mean, you were very restrained there on Wednesday. Very restrained. But you could easily have spent a lot of money there, couldn't you?
It was the books that got me.
Yeah.
I got a copy of Norbert Singer's book, which I'm very, very pleased with. But I did get a little model car for my goddaughter. That's a bit of a tradition when I go to races. If I see a model car, I bring one back for her collection as well. But yeah, great to hear from Paul as well. Fellow broadcast colleague. He's making his debut on Not Kill FM this year.
Is he?
Yeah.
Right.
Lunchtime DJ.
Oh.
The lunchtime show with Paul Smith.
Yeah. So Paul Smith, not that one.
No.
Right.
No.
Not the stripy.
No.
Not the stripy.
Not that one. The one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
The Paul Smith. Of race
I
pop,
love I had a Paul Smith suit once, and I really.
Was it good?
Oh, loved it.
Yeah.
Not made to measure, but it might as well be. Somehow I found one that fit me, and it's my favourite suit for many occasions. Got the Lamborghini coming in front of us now, back onto the start-finish straight. That is the number 7 car with that's a Conrad Motorsport GmbH, the Huracan GT3. Slightly subtle differences on the exterior from the Evo.
Yeah, see the kind of shark fin on the engine cover is quite similar to the Super Trofeo version of that car, which they've kind of added into the Aero package, but still running the venerable 5.2 litre V10 that it shares with the Audi R8. Jules Gounon on board the number 3 Get Speed Mercedes. That's the Green Hell car, bright green machine. Getting a lovely tow up the Kesselchen from one of the Rover BMWs up towards Klostertal, and then the mighty Carousel, named after, it's the Caracciola Carousel to give it its full name, named after Rudolf Caracciola.
At the bottom of the hill there is the test hill, the old test hill. It used to go straight on there, and the concrete bowl that is the Caracciola Carousel was built, and the climb up, slightly less steep climb up the hill, was built to bypass that very steep uphill run. Now, just having gone past us and me mentioning the number 7 car, Conrad Motorsport, with Lefterov behind the wheel, Pavel Lefterov. I think he's just done Control-Alt-Delete, old 3-fingered salute on the Grand Prix track, because he was dead stick, driver's left, and now he is, well, that's back to normal speed again. He's coming up to one of the Zorg Rennsport Caymans, and no, that's right back up to speed.
And Pavel's a very late addition to the team as well, the 25-year-old Bulgarian, but a good addition, I would say, because he's won his class here before. Back in 2019, he won the SP8 class in an Audi alongside Rahel Frey for Team GT Tire. So he tends to drive GT4 machinery of late, but he goes out onto the fast lane now, onto the Grand Prix circuit to start a proper flying lap. As Pavel left her off, flashing the lights of that Lamborghini Huracan. That's the older version.
Yeah.
So it's the non-Evo 2 version. Just Evo 1, I suppose you could call it.
There's a slight difference to the air intake on the back of the car.
Yeah, it's the no shark fin.
Yeah.
The shark fin is very much Super Trofeo-esque
yes,
on the new one. Or if you like, it's almost like a miniature version of what you'd see on a Le Mans prototype.
Correct.
In a way.
That.
Yeah.
Editor of dailysportscar.com, Graham Goodwin.
Model shop.
No.
No? I thought, because he's got a great collection.
Ferrari news regarding the Rolex cars. The 296s, two of the three 296s at the Rolex had problems with broken floor mounts after contact. Ferrari applied for and then put in a redesigned part allowed under homologation as a safety or a reliability mod. So now here, the floor, if you're not careful, the floor does get a bit of a pounding, doesn't it? Because if you use, there's some curbs that you have to use, even though they're quite severe. There's some curbs here that you absolutely can't use because they're like a small garden wall.
Yeah.
But there you go.
Yeah, and there are parts of the circuit where you are all four wheels off, even with GT3 levels of downforce now. At Flansgarten, you are still all four wheels off, and the compression and the you only just have to stand there and hear the cars belting off the road when they land. The floor's getting a pelting, and they've got to do that for 24 hours.
I've got a feeling it's still around about 4 or 5 times a lap that you're off the ground.
I think it's come down a bit because of the downforce.
They're nowhere near as high as they used to be off the ground.
Yeah,
because of downforce, as you rightly say.
So, the fastest...
There's another car getting their fastest lap kicked out for speeding in the pits. This is the 991 GT3 Porsche Cup car, the 151 car, the Kodedek Breidenbach Choi Cools machine.
I'll tell you what, these Mercedes-AMG GT2 cars, there's 2 of them running in the SPX class. We mentioned they've got more power and less drag than the GT3 cars, so they are very fast on the straight. And yeah, so they're going to be difficult for the SP9 cars to get by. And also, you look at the lap times, fastest SPX car, Schnitzelalm Racing, 8:27. There's some pretty high-profile SP9 cars which aren't at that level yet. And
interestingly, just picking up some quotes from the drivers getting out, and of course I say that immediately it updates. Thank you. This from the 222, which is Moritz Wiskirchen. The GT2 more power than all the other vehicles. The speed on the straight is amazing, and you have to get used to it first. Otherwise, the car is a lot of fun. It's going to be a good weekend for sure. So, lead battle coming up to GT2 or 2s and catching them, and then coming out of the Gallows Hill corner, Galbenkopf, and down the Göttinger, the GT2 is going to pull away.
But also, this is where the drivers, where preparation really comes in as well, because those 2 SPX cars, when you come up behind them, it's going to actually be quite difficult to tell them apart from an SP9 car, from a GT3 car.
Yes.
Which will, of course, is faster over the lap but slower on the straights. So the drivers are going to have to get an idea in their mind of what those SPX cars look like, what liveries they have, what number they have on them, so that they can identify them quickly and go, okay, they're going to pull away from me on the straight, but I'm going to be much faster in braking, and I'm going to be much faster through the corners because of the downforce as well. But yeah, really cool. And you know, again, another thing which we love about the Nürburgring 24-hour is there is such a wide spread of classes, so that we can have such a great variety of machinery that can compete for their own class victory.
Oh.
And the SPX class is usually where we see some really cool stuff.
I have just been informed, and I have to say I knew this, and I'd forgotten it. I'd put it to one side. Hello to everybody at Silverstone for the C1 Racing Club 24 hours this weekend. Reg Square Images, among others, being there, watching though at the moment. He said, thanks to your broadcast, I'll be keeping tabs. That's well Irish, Kev. Missing you here, Kevin. One of the places I normally bump into to Kevin. Have a good weekend at Silverstone. Hope the weather's kind to you there. Forecast was decent actually for that part of the UK. How long have we got left now, Pete?
Oh, should be 26 seconds.
Oh, there we go. Excellent. Big plume of dust thrown up by
Michele Beretta, I think.
Yeah, spot on in the 16 Audi. This is the car with the yellow front end, just as he was coming down to Bergwerk through the exit of Exmüller. Now already, the speed with which these cars cover, you know, the run through that middle third of the track, which is I think is the really tough part of the track to learn, because there's so much of it that looks similar.
Yeah, and you go, am I flat? Am I not? Am I breathe off? Am I fifth gear?
Check the flag is out. Yeah, you cannot get that wrong. Coming down through Flansgarden now, and about to turn right towards Schwalbenschwanz, or the Kleine Carousel, as some people call it, the smaller carousel. Still with that concrete on the racing line. Now heading up to one of the most important corners on the track, Galgenkopf. It's the last bit that's really important, because that controls your entry speed onto the endless Dottinger Hohe. Get your book out, read a chapter.
Tune into RS1. Yeah, absolutely.
Spot on.
Interesting seeing the top teams, so they're being so disciplined here by getting through all their drivers. Manthey, all 4 of their drivers have done their 2 laps already. Thomas Preining at the wheel of that machine as well, so they can relax now. There's no, if there's any kind of freak weather or whatever, they're sorted. See what Michele Beretta can do. Had a pretty consistent run through as the Italian. Michele Beretta's father is actually responsible for Matteo Cairoli starting racing, because Michele Beretta's father was a very good customer of Matteo Cairoli's father, and Michele Beretta's father said, you need to let Matteo have a shot at racing. You need to let him do it. And he's like, oh, I don't know. And he says, no, do it. And he says, if you don't do it, I'm not going to be your client anymore.
No relation to Olivier Beretta?
No.
Same name, not the same.
Oh, Shield Magnus off into the barrier. That's quite early in the lap. Yes, Hassenbach, yeah. So he'd obviously just got over the line before the checkered flag, and he's managed to keep going.
Hey, that was quite a stout hit on the right front. Just got out of kilter with the track.
That's the 22.
Yeah.
Audi.
That's
the R18 throwback car.
Yeah. Audi Sport Team car collection. 10th position. It's... If you get out of step with that serpentine run at the start, you know, so much of this track is difficult. I said the middle part was difficult, but if you don't get a good run through the Hatzenbach, your lap is gone before you've started. And Shields Magnus has stopped. I mean, it's over. The lap is over, but it will burn time getting that car back to the pit lane. And there's slight concern down in the pit lane where Mike Rockenfeller is watching on. It is insanely quick there for GT3 cars. And it just looked like he may have clipped the curb a little bit too much towards the last couple of the last left before the right, then the left right to drop down over the bridge, left right left actually, and that was contact with a tyre bundle. That was, I mean, that wasn't just a brush, and he's done enough damage that he's had to stop the car with damage to the right front bodywork and steering arm. Now, the joy, of course, of these sessions is the checkered flag's been out for 3 minutes. However, there's going to still be people coming across the line for about the next 6 or 7 minutes.
Yes, there will. And as long as you got over, that checkered flag before the time elapsed, you've got another run at it as well. Because if you saw the checkered flag, then you just do one lap of the Grand Prix track and go back in again.
Yeah, that's a good point.
As well. So you don't have to do a whole lap of a whole in lap of the Nordschleife. But if the session was still green when you cross the line, fill your boots.
So Michele Beretta had an issue in Eisbach. We saw that, but that wasn't any major consequences. That was the
went
big
off slightly.
That was the big dirt. Yeah,
dust. Yeah.
Gilles Magnus, Ellen Lerkurve, punctured front right, according to the information ticker. But I think more than that. I think that was suspension and steering arm damage.
When the replay cut in, it's hard to tell whether that was cause or effect, whether they had a puncture and that was what made him go off into the barrier,
very good point.
Or whether the puncture happened because of the bodywork being pressed in from hitting the barrier and then puncturing the tyre. We don't know. We'll try and find out in the break as well. But again, as we said, if you're going to do that, do it now. Don't do it on Saturday.
At RSL_studio, we'll wrap up in a moment once we get all the cars back in. Dennis Lind still to come across the line in the number 1 Audi, currently in 9th position for Audi Sport Team Scherer. One of the Evo 2 R8 LMS GT3s. Underneath the Andreas Bucher bridge. Still on the throttle. Now lifts. Only at the right. Now, we were talking about Sims the other day as Lynn comes to the line, and when we drove alongside the Dottinger on the public road, one of the things you couldn't believe was how deep that compression was and how steep up to Tiergarten and Hohenrhein was. And that allows these GT3 cars, I said even in a road car, you don't lift off until the first left. They're not lifting off until the right-hander, and then you aim it at the end of the arm core because you're going quick enough that you won't hit the arm core. You'll drift away from it.
There's quite a lot to compute just sitting here in a chair in a commentary box when you think, imagine if you're one of those cars with the noise, the vibration, the speed, everything, and you're just trying to control all of that at once. And that's just when you're on your own. We've seen many times Tiergarten coming in coming into Hohenrhein, the bit before it transfers back into the Grand Prix circuit, is if you have two cars side by side, it's like the world's fastest game of chicken, and sometimes it can go wrong. I mean, look what happened last year with the Manthey Porsche. Lawrence Vanthoor battling with his brother Dries.
So that was the brothers in Armco.
That was the brothers in Armco. Yes, and he was in dire straits at that point.
Certainly was. But excellent.
I think that's time for us after that. So yeah.
Let's have a look at the times then. It's Mercedes-AMG Teams Bilstein at the top, 8:14.785. Then that Michele Beretta, Scherer Sport Audi, BMW M4, Valken Sport number 101, Valken Horse Motorsport. Then Eduardo Matara just coming into the pits now, another Mercedes. Audi Sport Team Land 39, Audi Sport Scherer 40. Rover Racing is the second BMW down in 7th position. Conrad up in the top 10, with that Lamborghini, the number 7 in 8th position. Then 2 Audis rounding up the top 10. Manthey in 11th with the 911. Is that the best Porsche? Yes,
Yep.
it is.
Yep.
Wow. Just ahead of the Frickadelli Racing 296, the number 30 car, Abt with the all-black Lamborghini, the number 27, Jordan Pepper last in that car. Lion Speed by Car Collection next up. I'll do very quickly, before we go off the air, I'll do some quick rundown. Schnitzelam with the best time in the 222 for SPX. K. Kramer Racing, Cup 2's 163 car in that class. Four Motors Bio Concept, the 320 BMW in AT. SRS Zog Rennsport, Cup 3. Their Cayman 182. Subaru Technica International in the SP14 114 WRX. Pro Sports SP10 leader is 46th overall, which will be one of the Astons. Yes, it is. Then Hyundai for the TCR leads in 830. GT tyres with WS. That's the SP8T leader, the number 81 car. RPM Racing's 151 leads SP7. RPM 152 leads SP6. Mathol in VT3. They're the leader there in the 300 car. Adrenaline in the 246 BMW 240i class. Max Kreuzer Racing in the SP3T. Hyundai Driving Experience for the VT2 front. VT2 rear is the BMW 330 of Adrenaline Motorsport Team Motec. 91 car is the V6 leader. Still haven't got a team name for that. Adrenaline Motorsport Motec in 104th place leads the V5 category for the 444. So, Peter, one or two problems, and some of the top teams not getting everything done that they want to. Some worrying frailties and fragilities from Lamborghini and from Ferrari. But at the front of the field, it's been a pretty good one, and that's about all we've got time for. Join us later on as we will bring you the whole of the night session, Going Into Darkness. Johnny Palmer, Bruce Jones, and Peter Snowden for the start of that one. And Peter and I'll wrap things up as we head into the darkness. Whether you were on radio or watching around the world, free, without blocks, on our World TV feed. It's been good to have your company this afternoon. From Peter and myself, good to have your company. See you later on. There'll be more action as we have qualifying 2 from the one, the only Nürburgring Nordschleife for the 51st running of the Total Energies ADAC 24 Hours of Nürburgring for 2023. From the Eiffel Mountain for the moment, bye for now.